A few weeks ago, I had to visit someone who was homebound in Manhattan, living on the 18th floor. And so I usually don't ask the doorman to turn on the elevator, to hit the elevator button for me. And so I was going to take the staircase. So I go into the staircase to do the right thing. And lo and behold, as I walk into the staircase, if you live in Manhattan, you know what I'm talking about, the light goes on with a sensor. Now, it's important to note that it wasn't the only light that was there. There's a light that's always on, but then there's an additional light that goes on with a sensor. So the question is, if you live in a big city, in a building, what happens often recently is there are motion sensors that turn on a light. They don't turn on the only light. There's always usually a background light, but they turn on an added light. And the question is, are you allowed to walk on Shabbat near a sensor that turns on a light? People have this question to a different degree when they walk outside CVS and other places that have motion sensors that open the door. And so the question is, what is the story with these motion sensors on Shabbat? So the answer is, first of all, it very much depends on whether the motion sensor is there for your needs or not. Meaning, if you walk on the sidewalk in Manhattan next to CVS and there's a motion sensor there that will open the doors, that's a very different story than when you're just walking into the store and you need that. So if the motion sensor is doing something that you want to happen, you cannot do that on Shabbat. So for example, if there are electric doors at the entrance to the building and you want to get into the building, you cannot walk in directly and have the sensor open the doors for you. What you can do is walk behind someone that's going in anyways, and that way the door opens for you. The same applies to lights that have motion sensors in the staircases of buildings. If there's already light there and there's this motion sensor that's turning on an extra light, I hear that it's because of regulation, that they want to have more motion sensors. That's fine, because you already have a light that you can use. However, if there's no other light and the only light that will go on is actually helping you and enabling you to walk, in that case, you cannot rely on the motion sensor and you cannot activate a light that you want and need. So what do you do if you live in a building, say, that has no lights whatsoever, and the only way you can get the light in the staircase is if you have the sensor go on for you? So what do you do in that case? Well, one idea someone told me is you take an LED light that is always on, and it is not muksa, and you can either place it on the floor or you can even carry it, and that way the light that goes on is not serving you. And since that light is not serving you, it's okay to activate it. So again, as long as you're not activating the motion sensor that you need or want or that's servicing you, then it's okay. You cannot stop yourself. You cannot say, okay, I'm not going to walk in the hallway because of the motion sensor that someone else put. If they put it there and you don't want it there, it cannot block you from walking in through the staircase. That's the story with that. In terms of elevators, it's a very different story. Why? Because with elevators, it's an old discussion, but basically the question is, are you asking the elevator man to do a halacha, or the doorman to do a halacha for you, to turn it on for you? Now, the issue of elevators on Shabbat is a difficult one. I don't want to get into all of it, but the bottom line is, if you're asking someone to do it for you, to press a button for you, then it's more problematic. Of course, in cases of illness, weakness, etc., where it's a difficult situation, you have the rule of Amir La'akum, telling a non-Jew to do malacha can be permitted under certain circumstances. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Shabbat Shalom.